Have you ever heard of a fisherman who wasn't just searching for fish, but for something far more valuable, hidden beneath the waves? In a small Nigerian village, one man's ordinary fishing trip turned into an encounter with a lost treasure so powerful it changed his life forever. But was this fortune a blessing or a curse? Stay with me, because what happens next will leave you speechless. The night was alive with the crackling of firewood, its golden flames dancing beneath a sky littered with stars. The children sat in a wide circle, their eager eyes fixed on the old man before them. His face, lined with years of wisdom, bore the weight of countless stories passed down through generations. He leaned forward, his voice low and mysterious. Have you ever heard of the fisherman who discovered a treasure so great it changed his life forever? He asked, his gaze sweeping over the young faces. The children gasped, shaking their heads, their curiosity burning as brightly as the fire. The old man chuckled, his deep voice carrying the weight of legend. This is no ordinary tale. It is the story of Jaja, a simple fisherman who ventured where no man dared, into the heart of the ocean's secrets. He paused, letting the anticipation settle. But the ocean, my children, does not give without taking something in return. A hush fell over the group as the wind whispered through the palm trees, as if the spirits of the sea were listening. The old man took a deep breath and began. Jaja was not like other men. He was born by the water, raised by its tides. Every morning before the sun kissed the horizon, he would set out with his fishing net, hoping to bring home enough to feed his family. But the sea had turned against him. Day after day, he cast his net, and day after day, he returned with nothing but disappointment. The fire crackled louder, as if emphasizing the weight of the story. One fateful night, when hunger gnawed at his belly and desperation clouded his mind, Jaja made a decision that would change everything. He would go farther than he had ever gone before, into the deepest, darkest part of the ocean. The children huddled closer, their breaths shallow. The old man smiled knowingly. And that, my children, is where his true adventure began. The waves lapped against the shore as Jaja prepared for another long day at sea. His wooden canoe, worn and patched in places, rocked gently as he loaded his fishing nets. The morning sun cast a golden hue over the water, but despite its beauty, Jaja's heart was heavy. For months, the ocean had been unkind to him. Each time he cast his nets, they returned empty or tangled with seaweed. The village elders whispered that the gods were angry, that the sea was withholding its bounty as punishment for an unknown sin. Jaja, however, did not believe in curses, he believed in hard work. But even his strongest efforts were failing him. That morning, his wife, Days, had placed a single piece of dry fish and a handful of yam in his palm. "This is all we have left," she said softly. Her eyes, filled with worrying, bore into his soul. Their children, once full of laughter, now ate in silence, their small bodies growing thinner each day. Jaja clenched his fists as he paddled into deeper waters, his jaw set with determination. He would not return empty-handed again. He rowed farther than he ever had before, ignoring the warnings of the older fishermen who refused to fish beyond the reefs. Hours passed. The sun burned his back, and sweat dripped down his face as he cast his net once more. He waited, his heart pounding with hope. But when he pulled it in, the net was empty again. Frustration boiled within him. He slammed his fist against the side of his canoe, causing it to rock dangerously. "Why?" he shouted at the vast blue expanse before him. "Why have you forsaken me?" The ocean answered with silence. As the sun began to set, Jaja knew he had to return home. He was about to turn his boat around when something caught his eye, a dark cloud forming on the horizon. The wind shifted and the waves began to rise. A storm was coming, but Jaja didn't move. Something about the churning water called to him, an invisible force urging him to stay. And for reasons he couldn't explain, he listened. The sky darkened faster than Jaja had ever seen before. The once calm waters turned violent. waves thrashing against his canoe as if the sea itself were angry. The wind howled in his ears, carrying the scent of rain and something else, something ancient, something he could not name. Jaja's instincts screamed at him to flee, but the unseen force holding him in place was stronger than fear. His grip tightened around the oar as he fought to steady his boat. The first drop of rain struck his forehead, cold as ice, followed by a downpour that drenched him instantly. Then came the wave. It rose like a mountain before him, towering and merciless. Jaja barely had time to take a breath before it crashed down upon him, flipping his canoe like a mere leaf in the wind. The world spun in a whirlpool of darkness and salt water. His limbs flailed as he struggled to surface, but the sea dragged him deeper, its cold grip tightening around his chest. Was this how it would end? Jaja's lungs burned. He kicked harder, but his strength was failing. Just as the last of his breath escaped his lips, something strange happened. The water around him stilled. A soft glow appeared beneath him, illuminating the depths in a way that sent shivers down his spine. Through blurred vision, he saw it something massive, something hidden beneath layers of coral and time. A wreck. Jaja barely registered the sight before unconsciousness claimed him, and the ocean swallowed him whole. The world was silent when Jaja's eyes fluttered open. He gasped, choking on the salt in his throat as he struggled to sit up. The sand beneath him was warm, soft too soft for the rough shores of his village. Where was he? The last thing he remembered was the storm, the monstrous wave that had dragged him under. But now he lay on a deserted shoreline, his canoe nowhere in sight. The ocean stretched endlessly before him, calm and unbothered, as if it had never tried to claim his life. Jaja pushed himself up, wincing as his body protested. His clothes were torn, his hands scraped, but he was alive. He turned, his gaze scanning the land behind him. Towering palm trees lined the coast, their thick leaves swaying lazily in the breeze. But something about this place felt different. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the distant cry of a bird. The sand was littered with strange relics, old rusted coins, broken pottery, and weathered carvings half buried beneath the grains. Some bore symbols Jaja did not recognize, their markings worn by time. He reached down, picking up a small golden pendant covered in dirt. As he wiped it clean, a chill ran down his spine. The design was intricate, unlike anything he had ever seen in his village. Who had left these behind? A rustling sound made him spin around. His heart pounded as he scanned the trees. Was he truly alone? Or had someone been watching him all along? Then, from the depths of the forest, a voice called out, "You should not be here." Jaja froze, his breath caught in his throat. The voice had come from within the dense jungle beyond the shore, deep and weathered like an echo of the past. His instincts screamed at him to run, but his feet remained planted in the warm sand. Slowly, the figure emerged, a man, old and bent with age, his skin dark and lined with the wisdom of many years. His tattered robe fluttered in the wind, and his eyes, sharp and knowing, bore into Jaja's soul. "You should not be here," the old man repeated, stepping closer. Jaja swallowed hard, his voice hoarse from the salt water. "Where is this place?" The old man chuckled, though there was no humor in it. "This is a land forgotten by time, a place where the ocean keeps its secrets." He studied Jaja for a moment, his gaze flickering to the golden pendant in his hand. His expression darkened. "You have touched something that does not belong to you." Jaja looked down at the pendant, his fingers tightening around it. I found it on the shore." The old man sighed. "It is no ordinary trinket. It is a piece of the past, a key to a story buried beneath the waves." He paused before adding, "And those who seek its truth must be prepared for the cost." A shiver crept up Jaja's spine. "What do you mean?" The old man gestured toward the sea, his gaze distant. "There is a ship swallowed by the ocean long ago. Its treasures were never meant to be disturbed. But the sea, she has chosen you." Jaja felt his heart hammer against his ribs. The wreck. He had seen it in the depths before blacking out. Was this all connected? The old man studied him for a moment, then turned toward the jungle. Come, if you wish to learn the truth, you must first understand the legend of the sea's lost treasure. Jaja hesitated, glancing once more at the mysterious pendant in his palm. Then, gripping it tightly, he followed the old man into the unknown. Jaja followed the old man through the dense jungle, his heart pounding with uncertainty. The trees loomed overhead, their thick branches weaving a canopy that blocked out most of the sky. The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and salt, as if the sea itself had seeped into the land. After what felt like an eternity, they arrived at a small clearing where a makeshift hut stood, its walls made of woven palm leaves and driftwood. A fire crackled in the center, casting flickering shadows against the hut's walls. The old man motioned for Jaja to sit. Before you seek what the ocean has shown you, you must first understand its story, the old man said, his voice low and deliberate. He threw a handful of dried herbs into the fire, and a fragrant smoke rose into the air. Jaja leaned forward, his hands resting on his knees as the old man began. Many years ago, long before our ancestors walked these lands, there was a ship unlike any other, a ship of kings and warriors, carrying a treasure beyond imagination. It belonged to a foreign ruler who sought to conquer these shores. But the ocean, she is no fool. She does not allow greed to go unpunished. Jaja's breath hitched as he listened intently. The ship sailed into these waters with great confidence, but a terrible storm rose without warning. The winds howled, the waves swelled like mountains, and the sea swallowed the ship whole. Not a single soul survived. It is said that the ocean kept the treasure as a warning, so that no man would dare claim what was never meant to be his. The fire crackled louder, as if it, too, whispered secrets of the past. Jaja frowned, gripping the pendant in his palm. But why would the sea show me this? Why now? The old man studied him for a long moment. Because the ocean does not reveal its secrets without reason. She has chosen you, but whether it is a blessing or a curse, only time will tell. A heavy silence filled the hut. Jaja's mind raced with questions. But one thing was clear: his journey was only beginning. The treasure was real, and it was waiting for him. Jaja sat in stunned silence, the old man's words sinking deep into his mind. A treasure lost to time, hidden beneath the sea. Was this fate? Or was he walking into something far greater than himself? The old man poked at the fire, watching Jaja with unreadable eyes. You wish to seek the treasure, don't you? Jaja hesitated, then nodded. If the ocean has chosen me, I must know why. The old man sighed, rubbing his wrinkled hands together. The sea does not give freely. If you wish to claim what she has guarded for centuries, you must first prove yourself worthy. Jaja frowned. How? The old man rose and gestured for Jaja to follow him outside. The jungle air was thick with humidity, and the distant roar of waves echoed in the night. The old man led him to a narrow path that sloped toward the shoreline. There is a test, the old man said. The ocean must know your heart. If you wish to find the treasure, you must surrender yourself to her waters once more. Jaja's stomach twisted. You want me to go back into the sea? The old man nodded. At the break of dawn, you must step into the ocean without fear. Let the waves take you where they wish. If the sea accepts you, she will reveal her secrets. If she does not, His voice trailed off, but Jaja understood the unspoken warning. Jaja turned his gaze toward the water. The waves were calm now, but he had seen how quickly they could turn violent. The thought of being dragged under again made his pulse quicken. Yet deep within him, something called out a force he could not ignore. As the first hint of morning painted the sky in shades of gold and pink, Jaja made his decision. He stepped forward, feeling the wet sand beneath his feet. The water lapped at his ankles, cool and inviting. Then, taking a deep breath, he waded in deeper. The ocean was waiting. The water wrapped around Jaja's body, cool and calm as he waded deeper into the ocean. With each step, the sand beneath his feet grew softer, pulling him in as if the sea itself was testing his resolve. The old man stood on the shore, watching in silence, his expression unreadable. Jaja inhaled deeply, steadying his pounding heart. Then, with one final step, he let go, allowing the ocean to take him. The waves pulled him forward, and for a moment, fear gripped him. What if he drowned? What if the ocean had not truly chosen him, but was instead luring him to his death? The memory of the storm flashed in his mind, but he pushed it aside. This was different. This time, he was surrendering willingly. As he drifted, the water grew colder. A strange humming filled his ears, low and deep, vibrating through his bones. He opened his eyes beneath the surface, and what he saw made his breath hitch. The world beneath the waves was not empty. Shapes moved in the distance, shadowy and fluid. Glowing orbs of light flickered like fireflies, illuminating the coral-covered ruins of something. Ancient, something lost to time. Jaja reached out, his fingers brushing against the smooth stone of what seemed to be a sunken structure. Strange carvings covered its surface, symbols that felt both foreign and familiar. Then, a sudden force pulled him downward. Jaja gasped, bubbles escaping his lips as he was dragged deeper. Panic surged through him, but just as quickly, a voice soft, almost like a whisper, filled his mind. Do not fight? The moment he stopped struggling, the force gentled. He was no longer sinking, but floating, weightless, as if the ocean itself cradled him. The humming grew louder, and suddenly, in the distance, the outline of a massive shipwreck emerged from the shadows. Jaja's eyes widened. The treasure ship. His heart pounded with excitement and fear. He had found it. But the ocean was not done with him yet. Jaja's lungs burned, but he couldn't take his eyes off the colossal wreck before him. The ship rested on the ocean floor, its wooden frame worn by centuries beneath the waves. Coral had claimed its surface, and schools of fish darted in and out of the gaping holes in its hull. Something about it felt alive. The strange humming that had guided him grew louder, resonating from deep within the wreckage. It wasn't just a sound, it was a call, a voice without words, whispering through the currents, drawing him closer. Jaja's fingers brushed against the ship's rotting exterior, and the moment he made contact, a shock ran through his body. The world around him blurred, and suddenly he was no longer floating in the water. He was standing on the ship. The deck was no longer broken and covered in algae. Instead, it gleamed under the sun, polished and pristine. The sails billowed in the wind, and the sound of men shouting orders filled the air. Jaja turned in shock. He was surrounded by warriors, men clad in golden armor, their faces hardened with determination. At the center of it all stood a figure draped in royal robes, a crown of precious stones adorning his head. His eyes, dark and piercing, locked onto Jaja. "You do not belong here," the man said, his voice deep and commanding. Jaja's heart pounded. Who are you?" The man took a step forward. "I am the last king of a forgotten empire, and you have awakened what was meant to remain buried." Jaja stumbled back, his breath catching in his throat. The ship, the treasure, the whispers, it was all tied to something much greater than he had imagined. Before he could respond, the vision shattered, the golden ship dissolved, and Jaja was back in the depths of the ocean, gripping the wreckage. But now he wasn't alone. A shadow moved within the ship's broken hull. Something had awakened, and it was watching him. Jaja's pulse quickened as the shadow inside the wreck moved. The ocean around him seemed to shift, the once calm currents now swirling with an unseen force. His instincts screamed at him to swim away, but something stronger, curiosity, fate, or madness kept him rooted in place. Then, from the darkness of the ship's hollow interior, a figure emerged. At first, Jaja thought it was a man. But as the being moved closer, the truth sent a shiver through his bones. It was something more, something ancient. A pair of glowing eyes locked onto him, filled with wisdom and warning. The creature's body was humanoid, yet its skin shimmered like the scales of a great fish. Golden patterns glowed faintly on its arms. pulsing in rhythm with the ocean's heartbeat. Long, flowing hair floated weightlessly around its head, swaying with the water's movements. Jaja could not breathe, not because of the water, but because of the sheer presence of the being before him. He felt small, insignificant, as if he were in the presence of a god. "You have seen what was lost." The being's voice echoed in his mind, though its lips never moved. "Why do you seek what the ocean has claimed?" Jaja's fingers tightened around the golden pendant still clutched in his palm. He wanted to speak, to explain, but his voice was swallowed by the sea. The guardian reached out, placing a hand over Jaja's chest. A rush of images flooded his mind, warriors battling violent storms, a king cursing the heavens as his ship sank, the treasure vanishing beneath the waves. Then, a single warning whispered through Jaja's soul. The treasure does not belong to man. A sudden force pushed Jaja backward, sending him tumbling through the water. The current surged, spinning him like a helpless leaf caught in a storm. Then, the ocean let him go. Jaja gasped as he broke the surface, coughing and choking for air. The sun was high now, its warmth a stark contrast to the chilling depths he had just escaped. But he knew the ocean had not rejected him. It tested him, and the real journey was only beginning. Jaja lay on the shore, gasping for breath, his body trembling from exhaustion. The waves lapped gently at his feet, as if mocking the storm that had just tossed him like a rag doll. He stared up at the sky, his mind racing with what he had just experienced. The guardian's voice still echoed in his head. The treasure does not belong to man, yet the ocean had shown it to him. It had chosen him. Footsteps crunched on the sand, and Jaja turned his head to see the old man approaching. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes held a knowing glint. He crouched beside Jaja and studied him for a long moment before speaking. "You have been marked." Jaja frowned, confusion knitting his brows. "Marked." The old man pointed to Jaja's chest. He looked down and gasped. Faint, glowing patterns shimmered on his skin, the same golden markings he had seen on the guardian. They pulsed softly, fading in and out like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Panic surged through him. "What is this?" The old man sighed. "The ocean has touched you. You are no longer just a fisherman. Jaja, you are now bound to the secrets of the deep." Jaja sat up, running his fingers over the strange markings. They were cool to the touch, as if the ocean's embrace still lingered on his skin. His mind spun with questions. Was this a blessing or a curse? What did it mean for him? He turned to the old man. "The Guardi _ it spoke to me. It warned me not to seek the treasure." The old man nodded. "Because the treasure is not meant for greed. It is a relic of a time when men defied the ocean's will." Jaja swallowed hard. "Then why did the ocean show it to me?" The old man's expression darkened. "Because a storm is coming, and you are the only one who can decide whether it brings destruction or redemption." A cold wind swept across the beach, carrying the scent of salt and something ancient. Jaja knew there was no turning back now. The real battle had begun. Jaja sat in silence, his fingers tracing the glowing patterns on his chest. The weight of the old man's words settled heavily upon him. The ocean had chosen him not just as a witness, but as a participant in something far greater than he had ever imagined. "A storm is coming." The old man stirred the embers of his fire, his wrinkled face illuminated by the flickering glow. "Tell me, Jaja, when you looked into the depths, did you see only treasure, or did you see something else?" Jaja hesitated. He had seen much more than gold visions of warriors, a cursed king, and the ship swallowed by the sea's wrath. And then there was the Guardian, its presence both terrifying and awe-inspiring. There was a ship, Jaja admitted, not just wreckage, but a memory of it as it once was. And the men aboard, they weren't ordinary. The old man nodded, as if this was the answer he expected. That ship did not sink by accident. Jaja, it was not lost, it was taken. Jaja's eyes widened. Taken. "The ocean is alive," the old man continued. "She listens. She remembers. And when men try to claim what is not theirs, she takes back what she is owed. Jaja's grip tightened around the pendant in his palm. Then why am I seeing all of this? Why me? The old man fixed him with a piercing gaze. Because the balance is shifting. The ocean's secrets are meant to stay hidden, yet something or someone is disturbing them. The guardian did not warn you a way out of cruelty. It warned you because the treasure is waking. A sudden gust of wind held through the trees, carrying with it the distant sound of waves crashing harder against the shore. The tide was rising. Jaja shivered. It was as if the ocean itself was trying to speak to him. What do I do now? He whispered. The old man stared into the fire, his expression grim. You must decide, Jaja. Do you seek the treasure for fortune? Or do you seek it to understand why it was buried? Jaja looked out at the endless ocean, his heart pounding. The whispers of the tides grew louder, calling his name. The time for hesitation was over. Tomorrow he would return to the depths, and this time he would demand answers. The night passed in restless silence. Jaja lay awake in the old man's hut, staring at the thatched roof, his mind tangled with questions. The whispers of the ocean still echoed in his ears, pulling him toward an unknown fate. By dawn, the air was thick with tension. The waves roared louder than before, their rhythm almost urgent, as if urging him forward. He had made his decision. He would return to the wreck, not for greed, but for understanding. The old man watched him prepare his fishing canoe with a knowing look. You walk a path that few have survived, Jaja. Jaja secured his net, though he doubted he would need it. If the ocean wanted me dead, it would have taken me the first time. The old man chuckled, shaking his head. You are bold, but even the bold must respect the sea. Jaja met his gaze. Then tell me, what am I really facing? The old man sighed, leaning on his staff. The treasure is not just gold and jewels. It is knowledge, power, a piece of history that was never meant to be uncovered. The spirits of those who perished still linger around it, bound by their sins and their king's curse. Jaja's chest tightened. Then how do I break it? The old man hesitated. You may not be able to. The weight of those words settled deep in Jaja's bones, but he did not falter. Without another word, he pushed his canoe into the water and climbed aboard. The waves rocked the boat, but he steadied himself, gripping the oar with steady hands. The ocean welcomed him back. The journey to the wreck felt different this time. The sea was alive, shifting beneath him as if guiding him toward his fate. The deeper he rowed, the more unnatural the silence became. Even the seagulls that usually hovered above the waters were absent. Then, the familiar shape of the sunken ship appeared below. Jaja took a deep breath and dove. The cold water swallowed him, and the world above disappeared. As he swam toward the wreck, his markings began to glow again, casting a faint light around him. The humming in his head grew louder, almost like a heartbeat. Then, movement. A dark figure glided between the ship's broken masts. The Guardian. But this time, it was not alone. From the shadows of the wreck, multiple glowing eyes flickered to life. The spirits of the past had awakened, and they had been waiting for him. Jaja's breath caught in his throat as the glowing eyes multiplied in the darkness. The wreck was no longer just a graveyard of wood and coral. It was alive with unseen forces. The spirits of the past, bound to the treasure, had awakened. The humming in his head grew deafening, like a chant sung by voices long forgotten. He gritted his teeth, fighting the urge to flee. He had come for answers, and he would not leave without them. The Guardian emerged from the wreckage, its golden patterns pulsing with the same rhythm as Jaja's markings. It moved with grace, the water bending around it like an extension of its will. You returned, the voice echoed in his mind. Jaja steadied himself, his feet brushing against the sand-covered deck of the ship. I need to understand, he said. His voice swallowed by the water, but carried through his thoughts. Why is this treasure cursed? Why was it buried? The Guardian studied him for a moment before raising its hand. The water around them swirled, and suddenly Jaja was no longer in the present. He was inside the memory of the past. The ship was whole once more, its sails filled with wind. Warriors stood at attention, their golden armor gleaming under the sun. At the center of it all stood the cursed king, his crown encrusted with the very jewels Jaja had glimpsed in the wreck. Their journey had not been one of exploration. It had been a conquest. They had stolen the treasure from a sacred temple, ignoring the warnings of the elders who protected it. The ocean, enraged by their defiance, had risen in fury, swallowing the ship whole. The warriors had perished, their spirits trapped forever beneath the waves. Cursed to guard what they had stolen, Jaja gasped as the vision faded, his body trembling. He now understood. The treasure was never meant to be found. It was a warning, a relic of greed and punishment. But before he could speak, the spirits began to move. They surrounded him, their glowing eyes filled with sorrow and rage. The water around him thickened, pressing against his chest. "You should not have come," the guardian's voice murmured. "Now they will decide your fate." Jaja's heart pounded as the spirits reached for him. Would they see him as an intruder, just like the king? Or would he prove himself worthy of escaping their curse? He had only moments to decide. Jaja remained suspended in the water, his pulse accelerating as the spectral warriors closed in. Their glowing eyes bore into him, not with mindless rage, but with something more complex judgment. The ocean around him felt heavier, as though the very water sought to test his resolve. The guardian observed in silence, its golden patterns pulsating in rhythm with Jaja's own markings. Then, without warning, a low, resonant voice filled his mind. "You have seen the past. Now you must prove you are not its echo." Jaja barely had time to process the words before the spirits surged forward. One extended a spectral hand, pressing its translucent palm against Jaja's forehead. The instant they made contact, his surroundings blurred. He was no longer underwater. Instead, he stood on the deck of the once majestic ship, now restored to its former glory. The cursed king stood before him, his presence overwhelming, his crown gleaming with unnatural brilliance. Around them, the warriors remained frozen, their eyes hollow with expectation. Jaja quickly understood this was not a vision of the past. It was a trial. The king's gaze bore into him. "Tell me, fisherman, why should you not share our fate?" Jaja exhaled sharply, his mind racing. He could lie, beg, or attempt to flee, but he suspected none of these would free him from the spirit's grasp. Instead, he straightened his posture and met the king's stare. "The treasure you sought to claim was never yours," he said firmly. "You ignored the warnings and took what was sacred. That is why you are bound to this place. But I am not like you. I did not come to steal. I came to understand." A long silence followed. The spirits did not move. The ocean itself seemed to pause. Then the king took a slow step forward. The air, though Jaja knew none should exist in this illusion, grew thick with unseen pressure. "And if understanding is not enough, what will you do with this knowledge?" Jaja hesitated for only a moment before responding. "I will return to the surface and ensure that this treasure remains buried. I will not let greed repeat the mistakes of the past." A flicker of something acknowledgement, perhaps, passed through the king's expression. He lifted his hand, and suddenly the illusion shattered. Jaja found himself back in the depths of the ocean, surrounded by the spirits, the guardians still watching. The spectral warriors slowly began to withdraw, their forms becoming fainter, their judgment seemingly satisfied. The guardian's voice returned, softer now. "You have passed the first test, but your journey is not yet complete. The living are far more dangerous than the dead, and they, too, seek what you have found." A chill ran through Jaja, despite the water's embrace. The spirits may have released him, but a new danger was approaching, one that did not come from the depths, but from the world above. Jaja awoke to the sound of waves crashing against the shore. His body felt heavy, as if the ocean had soaked into his very bones. He blinked against the morning sun, struggling to remember where he was. Then it hit him. The wreck. The spirits. The warrior's final words. Then you must become its keeper. He shot upright, gasping. His hands flew to his chest, searching for the glowing markings. They were still there, pulsing faintly beneath his skin. But something was different. He could feel everything. The water's movement, the shift of the tides. It was as if the ocean itself was whispering to him. A shadow moved beside him. The old man. He was crouched a few feet away, watching Jaja in silence. His gaze held neither surprise nor fear, only understanding. "You have changed," the old man finally said. Jaja swallowed hard. "I saw them. The spirits of the ship. He paused, trying to make sense of it all. They want to be free. They need the treasure returned to the sea." The old man nodded. "And they chose you to do it." Jaja exhaled sharply. "But how? The treasure is buried deep within the wreck. And even if I could reach it, what if others come looking for it? What if they try to take it again?" The old man studied him for a long moment. Then he reached into his satchel and pulled out a small wooden carving, a symbol Jaja had never seen before. It resembled a wave, but in the center was an eye. "The ocean does not choose lightly," the old man said, handing him the carving. "This is the mark of the keepers, the ones who protect the balance between man and sea. They exist in secret, scattered across the world. You are now one of them." Jaja ran his fingers over the carving, feeling the rough grooves. The truth settled deep in his chest. This was bigger than him, bigger than the treasure. He was not meant to take from the sea. He was meant to protect it. He looked up at the old man, determination hardening in his eyes. "Then I must finish what I started." The old man gave a small smile. "Good, but be warned. Jaja, once you accept this path, there is no turning back." Jaja clenched his fist around the carving. He had already made his choice. He would return to the depths one final time, and this time he would ensure the treasure remained hidden forever. Jaja stood at the edge of his canoe, staring at the endless stretch of ocean before him. The sun reflected off the water's surface, creating a blinding shimmer, but beneath that beauty lay the weight of his destiny. He had one final task: to return the treasure and break the curse. The old man had left him with only a few parting words. "The sea watches over its own. Do not hesitate when the moment comes." Jaja took a deep breath and tightened his grip on the wooden carving. It felt warm now, pulsing faintly, as if it, too, could sense what was about to happen. With a determined nod, he pushed his canoe into the water and began rowing toward the wreck. As he approached the site, the ocean grew eerily still. The waves, once rhythmic and familiar, had flattened, leaving only silence. Even the wind had died down, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Jaja inhaled deeply, steadying himself. Then, with one swift motion, he dove. The water welcomed him, wrapping around his body like an embrace. His markings began to glow again, illuminating the path to the sunken ship. But this time, something was different. He could hear whispers, the voices of the spirits, murmuring in a language older than time. The wreck loomed before him, its wooden beams now covered in coral and seaweed. The spirits were waiting. Their glowing eyes flickered to life, but they did not move toward him. Instead, they watched in silence, their fate resting in his hands. Jaja swam deeper, his heartbeat steady. He reached the treasure chest, its golden edges dulled by years beneath the sea. With careful hands, he lifted the lid. The glow of the jewels inside pulsed like a heartbeat, as if the treasure itself was alive. He hesitated. The weight of history, of greed, of lives lost, everything was contained within this chest. Could he really bury it forever? The guardian's voice echoed in his mind. "Only then will we be released." Jaja gritted his teeth. This was not just about gold. This was about restoring balance. With all his strength, he lifted the chest and pushed it deeper into the wreck. He wedged it beneath the beams, ensuring it could never be reached again. The moment the chest settled, the ocean shifted. A surge of energy burst through the water. The spirits let out a low, mournful cry, their forms flickering like dying embers. One by one, they began to fade, their chains of sorrow breaking at last. The warrior spirit, the leader of the fallen men, turned to Jaja with a look of gratitude. "It is done." Then, in an instant, they were gone. Jaja floated in the silence, his body tingling with the weight of what had just happened. The wreck was no longer a cursed grave, it was now a resting place, and he, Jaja, was its guardian. With a final glance at the wreck, he turned and swam toward the surface, the ocean carrying him upward as he broke through the water, gasping for air. The first thing he noticed was the sky. The storm clouds that had been gathering for days had vanished, replaced by a brilliant, golden sunrise. The sea had accepted his offering. Jaja climbed into his canoe, his muscles aching, but his heart at peace. He had done what no man before him had achieved. The treasure would remain hidden. The spirits were free, and Jaja, the fisherman, was now a legend. Jaja paddled back to shore, his body exhausted, but his soul lighter than it had ever been. The ocean, once restless and foreboding, now felt calm, as if it had finally found peace. As he neared the village, he noticed people gathered along the shore. Word of his mysterious journey had spread, and their faces were filled with anticipation. Some whispered among themselves, while others simply watched in silence, their eyes filled with unspoken questions. The old man stood at the front, his gaze steady. Jaja pulled his canoe onto the sand, his muscles aching with every movement. The moment he stepped out, the villagers surrounded him. "Did you find it?" one man asked eagerly. "Is it true the sea holds riches beyond our imagination?" Another woman chimed in. Jaja met their eyes, searching for the right words. He could see the hunger in them, the same greed that had doomed the cursed king so many years ago. If he told them the truth, they would never stop searching. They would dive into the depths, risking everything for wealth they were never meant to have. He gripped the wooden carving in his palm, feeling the wisdom of the keepers coursing through him. "There is no treasure," he finally said. His voice was firm, unshakable. "Only death. The spirits guard that place, and those who disturb them will never return." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some looked disappointed, others skeptical, but the old man nodded approvingly. He understood what Jaja had done. "Then let the sea keep its secrets," the old man said, stepping forward. "And let Jaja be honored, not for riches, but for his courage." The villagers hesitated. Then, one by one, they began to nod. They would never know the full truth. But Jaja had given them something more valuable than gold. He had given them peace. As night fell, Jaja sat by the shore, listening to the waves. He had fulfilled his duty, but he knew his journey was not over. The ocean had chosen him as its guardian, and it would call upon him again. For now, though, he was simply Jaja, the fisherman. But one day, his name would become legend. The village slowly returned to normal, but Jaja knew that his life would never be the same again. Every morning, he went out to sea, casting his net as he had always done. But he was no longer just a fisherman. He was the guardian of a secret that could change the fate of his people forever. Though the villagers eventually stopped asking about the treasure, Jaja could sense their lingering curiosity. Some young men still whispered about the depths, wondering if they, too, could find fortune in the ocean's embrace. Others watched him with wary eyes, as if they could sense that he had touched something beyond human understanding. One evening, as Jaja mended his fishing net by the shore, the old man approached him. "You have done well, Jaja," he said, lowering himself onto a nearby rock. Jaja exhaled, stretching his sore arms. "Then why do I feel like this is only the beginning?" The old man chuckled softly. "Because it is." Jaja frowned. "I don't understand." The old man looked out at the horizon, where the last light of the sun bled into the sea. "The ocean never chooses carelessly. You were meant to find that wreck. You were meant to see what lies beneath the waves. And now you must decide what kind of guardian you will be." Jaja turned to him, confusion tightening his chest. "I thought I had already made my choice." The old man met his gaze. "Have you?" Jaja swallowed hard. He had protected the treasure, sealed its fate, and kept its existence a secret. But deep inside, he knew the ocean had more to reveal. The whispers had not left him. The spirits had not faded completely. A sudden gust of wind sent ripples across the water, and for the briefest moment, Jaja thought he saw something, an outline beneath the waves, watching him. He clenched his fists. The ocean was not done with him yet. The old man stood, placing a firm hand on Jaja's shoulder. "When the time comes, you will know." Then, without another word, he walked away, leaving Jaja alone with the waves and the weight of his destiny. As the night deepened, Jaja stared at the water, his heart pounding. What more did the ocean have to show him? And was he ready for it? Jaja sat by the shore, his gaze fixed on the restless waves. The ocean had chosen him, and he could no longer ignore its call. He had sealed the treasure away, silenced the spirits of the lost, and protected his people from the curse of greed. Yet, something deep inside told him his journey was not truly over. One night, as the moon cast a silver glow upon the water, he felt it, a shift in the air, a whisper in the tide. The ocean was speaking to him again. He closed his eyes, letting the wind rush through his hair. And then he saw it, not with his eyes, but with something deeper, a vision. A storm was coming, not of wind and rain, but of men, outsiders. Strangers from faraway lands who would come seeking the treasure. They would not heed the warnings. They would not respect the spirits. And if they uncovered what lay beneath, destruction would follow. Jaja's eyes snapped open, his heart pounding. He had been given a gift not just to protect the treasure, but to foresee threats against it. He was more than a fisherman now. He was a guardian, a watcher, a keeper of the ocean's balance. He knew what he had to do. In the days that followed, he prepared. He studied the tides, memorized the currents, and learned the language of the waves. He passed down quiet warnings to the younger fishermen, urging them to respect the ocean and never stray too far from its will. He became a legend among his people, not for wealth, but for wisdom. And when, years later, the outsiders came, Jaja was ready. They arrived with greed in their eyes, searching for the lost treasure, but the ocean had already decided their fate. The tides grew violent, the winds howled, and their ships were swallowed whole, never to be seen again. The sea protected its own, as Jaja stood by the shore watching the final ripple fade into the horizon. He felt it, the approval of the spirits, the embrace of the ocean. He had fulfilled his destiny. And so, the legend of Jaja, the fisherman who spoke to the sea, lived on. Some say his spirit still lingers by the shore, watching over the waves, ensuring that no man dares disturb the treasure hidden beneath the depths. For the ocean remembers, and so does he. Jaja's story is proof that sometimes the greatest treasures aren't just gold and riches, but wisdom, courage, and the secrets hidden beneath the waves. What would you do if you stumbled upon a treasure like this? Would you keep it or leave it buried? Let me know in the comments. And if you love thrilling African folktales like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more legendary stories. There's so much more to discover. See you in the next one. Love you all.